Hello, everyone. I'm Mr. Teesdale. I'd like to welcome you to the ever interesting 2020 school year. This is ACC Modern World History. First and foremost, best way to contact me is via email, which is being presented right now in the middle of that slide. I check my email very frequently, so if you have any questions about upcoming assignments, past assignments, any missing assignments, really anything, um, just shoot me an email and I'll get back to you accordingly. Like I said, going into this year, I think there's definitely going to be an importance of communication. So feel free to reach out regarding anything throughout the year. So without further ado, world history. I personally like it because it's very important to learn about different cultures, different perspectives all across the board and throughout time. That's definitely the main focus of this course. So the starting point, which we're currently at in our class right now, is feudalism. And then we're moving into the Renaissance, which again is in the beginning. And hopefully we get up to the Cold War. Now this year, as far as timeline, is going to be a little bit tricky, but that is my hope and expectation that we get at least the curriculum done and then perhaps some additional information as well. But like I have up there, the main topics, but not all of them, are the Renaissance, Reformation, Enlightenment, Exploration, Absolutism, World War I, World War II. So definitely a lot of topics, definitely a lot of different time periods. Like I said, world history is great because it is a great way to expose, newly high school students to different perspectives, which is extremely important. As for assessments, this year is definitely going to be a little bit different for assessments. This year, we hope to expand on some open-ended questioning as the norm for assessments. We're going to have projects from time to time, but most importantly for me as a teacher, and I know a lot of us in the department here at CHS, we stress source analysis, building those skills on credibility of sources and how to cross-reference sources. So that will definitely be a main focal point of assessments for sure. Definitely in today's day and age where there's a lot of information, good and bad out there, I think it's really important to build upon that skill. But at the bottom there for this class and my goal, which is a little bit more important content for you, my goal as a teacher is to, like it says there, build overall student performance. I know not everybody's going to grow up and be a historian. I'm well aware of that. But what I hope to do in this class, obviously, is expose historical information, but also help students build upon skills that could help them in other classes and in life down the road. For instance, that source analysis skill, like I said before, I think being able to find credibility in sources that can definitely help down the road, no matter the occupation or in general life. But things like organizational skills, things like thinking outside the box, examining different perspectives. I think those are things that I find more important than just particular historical topics. I think skills is what I try and help students build upon throughout the year. Second thing is, I think one of my strong suits as a teacher is trying to connect the historical content to my students' interests, especially this year with a little bit smaller class sizes in person. I'm definitely going to be able to get to know the students really well, their interests, their preferences. So I think that's one thing I strive to do is get to know my students extremely well and then bring the historical content to their interests. And that way they get an emotional connection or interstate connection to the content. Last two things on this slide, the question of the day and 100 homies, are kind of the two, I would say, unique things about my class. So question of the day, every single day there's going to be a question as a class that we answer. And students, their job is to keep track of the recorded answers. I gave them all a special handout for that. So every single day we answer it as a class. We discuss the topic as a class. And the reason why I do this, one, it's an organizational skill builder. But two, as a student myself, I remember growing up, a parent, guardian, or relative always asking, what'd you learn in school today? And, me being the student that I was or child that I was, I would say, no, I don't know nothing. And I'm sure a lot of you get that same response as well. So I've had parents parents in the past, they kind of get involved in the question of the day. They ask their child, what was the question of the day in history today, and they play games themselves. So take upon it however you want. It's definitely a procedure that we do every single day, and it's definitely something that I pride myself on as a teacher. Is at least they got something in history class every single day. 100 homies is definitely something that students take upon pretty highly in terms of interest. And what it is, if you get a straight 100 on a test or quiz of mine in class, I make it a big deal. I give you a round of applause. I give you, in years past, something to sign, and I'll laminate and hang it up in my classroom. Kids usually send pictures of their choice, and they get a nice fame legacy in my classroom for the rest of the year. So kids definitely get competitive about that. Who's a 100 homie, who's not. But that's definitely another unique aspect that I like to bring into my class. Hopefully this year we get many 100 homies. So that brings me to grading. Total points basis is the premise of my grade. So homework 8 to 12 points, ballpark. Quizzes, projects 40 to 50 points. And as you see, test quizzes, the most important thing, goes 50 to 80 points. So students are very, very familiar with this process. Shouldn't be anything new, but students are definitely acclimated already to this point in terms of the value of certain assessments. That brings me to homework, which I do a little bit differently than most other teachers. I know a lot of my students are involved in extracurriculars. Some have jobs, some have play sports. I was like that as a student myself, so I understand that some days are tougher than others to get academic work done. For that reason, my homework, I usually give them a full week to do so. It usually stresses upon the major topics, content areas of that week. So typically what I do is assign homework on a Monday, and then that following Monday, the assignment is due. Students are well aware of this process. If not, they've already done it multiple times this year. But the kicker to that kind of system is I don't accept homework late. Tests, projects, quizzes are a different ballgame. Those I'm way more flexible with. But when it comes to homework, since students have a full week to do so, I definitely stress upon prioritizing and scheduling and time management as a skill of a student. So that's something that I hope to build upon this year with them. And homework to this point hasn't been an issue, but like I said, I think students are very familiar with this process, and I think some of them are very beneficial to the week-long prioritizing their schedule. Google Classroom, main source of communication this year for sure. Our Google Meets obviously go through there. But in terms of notes, presentations, any past classwork, it is all up there. I post it every single day what it is that we've talked about, the content, the activities, any handouts. So if students miss a day, whether they're absent or whatever the case may be, everything that we have done as a class is always tangible and viewable to them online. So if they ever have any issues as far as understanding, if they want to refer back to a couple of days ago, it's readily available for them on Google Classroom. So if you as a parent or guardian are wondering how can a student, get ready for a test, it is certainly all accessible to them on Google Classroom. Students are very, very familiar with what our page looks like. Like I said, everything's up there, and it's also dated to help them as well. So everything graded, Google Classroom, all discussed. Brings me to my last point. This year, I think the most important thing for success this year is just communication, period. Whether it's student to teacher, teacher to student, parent, guardian to teacher. I think communication between all parties is needed. So if there's technical problems, which I'm sure there's going to be ups and downs this year with technology, I think communication is at the forefront for importance this year. So if you as a parent guardian have any problems as far as technology at home, students having issues, again, just let me know. And obviously flexibility is the key. Like I have at the bottom there, cooperation as well. So that's one thing I want to impose upon all my classes. I said this in the beginning, and I'll say it again for parents, guardians. I think this year obviously is an entirely new experience. So hopefully we can all share the same optimism and flexibility with, getting what we can get done. Like I said, there's going to be ups and downs for sure, but I'm very happy with the way this year has started to this point. And I hope to continue the success. It's been great getting to know the students already this year. I have great classes from top to bottom. So like I said, I hope that we continue this path that we've been on. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. But other than that, I'm glad you checked out this video, made it to this point. And like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you.